All right, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Who's Got Next. Jared Halus here, staff writer on Maize and Blue Review. Quick podcast brought to you by Rivals.com. Sorry. Going to be talking about the top 10 prospects in the state of Michigan today. Rivals.com just had a new release of those guys. So we're going to go through a quick rundown of this list, talk a little bit about each guy. Obviously, we have full updates on each one of them over on the site at MaizeandBlueReview.com. Be sure to go check those out. But we're just going to briefly touch on each of them, go through the top 10. It's definitely a good list and a lot of guys that Michigan obviously is after. Keeping talent in the state, of course, a priority for Jim Harbaugh and the whole team. So we're going to go through the list. Again, just talking about the uncommitted guys. There are 3 guys, and we'll touch on them as well. Who are committed already, and that is CJ Carr. He's actually the number 1 player in the state of Michigan, according to the latest update from Rivals.com. He's currently committed to Notre Dame, has been since June. Second up is Nicholas Marsh. He's a Michigan State wide receiver commit. And then you've got Jameer Benjamin, defensive back, committed to Stanford. So we're going to skip out on talking about those guys for now, just because their recruitment, at least for now, looks to be wrapped up. We're going to discuss the uncommitted guys, and we'll start with Brandon Davis Swain, who is the second ranked player in the state of Michigan, according to this recent Rivals.com update. Strong side defensive end in West Bloomfield. He's a guy who Michigan really wants, and someone who they're in a good spot for. Recently dropped a top 11, I think, and 11 schools is a lot. Michigan, of course, did make that cut. Along with Michigan State, the other in-state school. And, we'll just go ahead and run through that whole list. Purdue, Penn State, Michigan, Colorado, Pitt, Tennessee, Auburn, Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Kentucky, USC. Recently spoke with Clint Cosgrove, national analyst on Rivals.com, said he was going to be taking some visits to a couple of those schools, official visits, that is. Isn't prioritizing officials to the in-state schools just because he says he can see those anytime. So although Michigan doesn't look like they'll be hosting him for an official, certainly still one to watch for. He's the 36th ranked player nationally as well, along with, again, second in the state of Michigan. So certainly someone to watch for. 6.0 Rivals rating at the moment, 6'3", 246 pounds. So a guy that Michigan would definitely benefit from having in this 2024 class, which, by the way, is off to a good start. We recently talked about that on the last version of Hail to the Podcast. Check that out. We're really trying to get into the videos for you guys in 2023. So be sure to stay tuned in on Maize and Blue Review. Again, we're going to be discussing these guys today, but we're also going to have more in-depth things on them as we move forward on the website. So 4th-ranked player in the state of Michigan, a tight end that the Wolverines would really like to have in the class. Brady Price, I believe is how you pronounce it. 5.9 Rivals rating, 6'6", 215 pounds, big guy. Ideal size and frame for a tight end, and definitely a guy who, again, Michigan is really after. I want to say that he's in a pretty good place in his recruitment right now in terms of where he stands with Michigan. But a lot of offers for this guy, so you never really know when you have a tight end of this caliber, 3rd-ranked tight end in the entire class. He's going to get recruited like crazy. But Michigan is definitely in a good place for him. Has been on campus many times, most recently in January towards the end of the month. So definitely, again, a lot of momentum trending for the Wolverines, but offers from all over the place. Pretty much, you name it, he probably has the offer. I think he's got right around 30. So definitely a highly touted guy, a guy that Michigan, again, would love to have in this class, and is it a good place for. Stay tuned to the Maize and Blue Review and to the Den for more updates on guys like Brady Price. Next up was Jacob Odin. We'll go ahead and talk about him. He's ranked 5th in the class, obviously one of Michigan's most recent commits in the 2024 class, and a guy who they were pumped to get. 6'1", 187 pounds, lengthy guy in the backfield, in the secondary, at safety. So another really big in-state win for the Wolverines. You love to see them, keeping guys like Odin in the class, in the state. So a really good win. Again, we're not going to go too in depth on that. We've had plenty of coverage on him and on the 2024 class so far on Maize and Blue Review. So be sure to check that out. Moving on to number 6, though, is Kari Jackson, which this was a bit of a surprise. Obviously, Kari went down to IMG Academy for a little bit and played well there, but ended up back up at West Bloomfield. 8th overall inside linebacker in the class of 2024 and the 6th overall player again in the state of Michigan. 5.8 rivals rating, 6'1", 220 pounds is what we've got him at right now. And yeah, this one was kind of interesting, and I say that because he recently came out with a top list, and Michigan was not involved, and I think a lot of people were expecting that to be different. So certainly pretty interesting to see them not on that list, but a lot of really good schools in the mix for Michigan, or I'm sorry, for Jackson. You really never know what's going to happen until pen hits paper. But regardless, a good prospect in the state. 4-star guy again, 5.8 4-star. So really good prospect. It'll be interesting to see where his recruitment takes him. Doesn't appear to be Michigan at the moment right now, though. So moving on, we've got number 7th player in the state, Jalen Todd, a defensive back out of Southfield. A guy that I think Michigan is definitely in a good place for. Got in on his recruitment pretty early on, and definitely is feeling the love from the Wolverines right now. We've had a couple updates on him on the site, so again, not going to go into too much detail, but someone to certainly keep an eye on for would be another really strong 4-star addition to the secondary. And if Michigan's able to craft their secondary full of 4-stars in the state who probably grew up watching the team and maybe even room for them, that would be a fantastic win. Obviously, a lot of talent in the state every year, but this year for sure as well. So certainly going to be a priority, as we talked about earlier, for the staff to keep those guys in there. And I think they're in a pretty good spot to do that for Jalen Todd. Another guy, 6'1", about 180 pounds, so really lengthy, as is Odin, 5.8 rivals rating right now in the top 250 in the country, 28th overall at cornerback. So another really talented guy right in the backyard. Would love to see them be able to pull that one off. Moving on to another tight end, Dylan Mezzman. This one's a little interesting. Doesn't have the offer for Michigan yet. Has definitely shown some interest, and Coach Newsom has been recruiting him. They visited each other a few times, but no offer has come of that yet. He does have offers from schools like Auburn, Cincinnati, Louisville, Maryland, Michigan State, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Purdue. So no shortage of interest in this guy. But right now, I think Michigan's kind of got a lot of what they want and price corn, and then of course with Hogan Hansen in the class already as well, there's just not too much more room for tight ends. So a really good prospect in Mezzman, but not really sure if I see this one turning into an offer. Of course, if it does, certainly be one to keep an eye on. But right now, I think Michigan State is probably trending, as are a few other schools. So Mezzman, another really good prospect, 6'5", 230, but likely not looking at Michigan at the moment, just due to the fact that there's no offer there. Finally, Jeremiah Beasley is the 9th ranked player in the state of Michigan, according to this latest Rivals update. He's an outside linebacker, 6'2", about 210 pounds is what we've got him at the moment out of Belleville. So 5.8 Rivals rating, another really highly touted guy who Michigan appears to be in a pretty good spot for. There's definitely been a whole lot of interest at this point. He just moved up. We did an update on him probably a little less than a week ago. So it's been interesting. He is certainly a guy to keep an eye on. Has an announcement upcoming in March. Not really sure what way that's going to go. But again, in-state guy, so worth keeping an eye on. I know there's some other schools that are trending for him at the moment, such as Tennessee, and a couple other guys. So Beasley, definitely a good prospect again in the state of Michigan. It's a loaded list, guys. I mean, I could do this all day long. When you go to Rivals.com and take a look at the state rankings, I mean, there's a bunch of talent in the state of Michigan this year. Again, that was just a look at the top 10 guys. So we could probably do this for a super long time. Again, 3 guys already committed. Well, technically 4. C.J. Carr to Notre Dame, Nicholas Marsh to Michigan State, and then Jameer Benjamin at Stanford. Odin being another commit, but to Michigan. So a really talented group in the state this year. You never know what can happen if some guys emerge throughout the spring and summer, and you never know who's going to have a strong fall next year as well. Because again, there's a long list of guys who are 4- and 3-star recruits in the state this year. But keeping these guys in the state is definitely a priority for the staff this year. It's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds. Are obviously already having some success with guys like Odin. Going to be interesting to see if they can keep that going in a good place for a lot of these prospects, and already in a good place with the 2024 class, currently ranked number 11 in the country according to Rivals.com. 6 commits, I think 5 of which are 4 stars, and so definitely a really good class so far. A lot of momentum with a lot of really good targets. Again, we had a hail to the podcast last week that you should definitely go tune into if you want some information on what's going on with guys like Jaden Davis and other people like that. It's a strong class. Obviously, the 2023 class was a little bit iffy for some people, so not really sure what to expect for 2024, but there's a lot of steam right now. I think if they're able to get a couple of big commits, then the momentum's going to continue to roll. And again, I said a couple weeks ago that I think this could be a top 10 class. So going to be interesting to keep an eye on. But I just wanted to come on here, discuss the top 10 guys in the state of Michigan because, again, lots of talent in the state. Keeping those guys in is going to be a priority. And there's a lot of steam around those guys from Michigan right now. So I appreciate anybody who tuned in. Probably do some more stuff like this as we continue to move forward throughout the year. Again, going to try to focus on a lot of the video content in 2023. But I appreciate y'all. If y'all have any ideas, feel free to go on the board at the Den on Mezzman Blue Review and let us know what you'd like to see. We're going to be on here a lot. Seth and I will probably be having another Who's Got Next podcast. But again, happy to hop on here and just talk about some things for a quick period of time, maybe for your ride to work or to the gym or whatever you guys are doing these days. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I appreciate anyone who tuned in, and I'll see you guys next time on Who's Got Next.